Good morning, students. One of the basic function of the respiratory system is to take the oxygen from atmosphere and taking it all the way up to the tissues. So today we are discussing the important topic, that is the transport of oxygen. How transport of oxygen occur? For that, how oxygen is exchanged in the lungs with the blood, that must be understood. This exchange of oxygen, it occurs at the level of alveolus and by the membrane known as respiratory membrane. What is this respiratory membrane? This is the alveolus, this is the tracheobronchial tree, this is the alveolus, and in contact with the alveolus we are having the pulmonary capillary. The walls of these two structures, they are in contact with each other, and ultimately they form the membrane. Name of that membrane is the respiratory membrane. If we magnify this and see under microscope, how does it look like? This is the picture of respiratory membrane. On the alveolar side, it is lined by the fluid that is known as alveolar fluid. Then below it we are having the epithelium of alveolus, that is type 1 cells of the alveoli. Then basement membrane, and followed by the layer of capillary which is lined by flat endothelial cell. So across this all these layers together they form the membrane. Name of the membrane is respiratory membrane, and across this respiratory membrane all the gases, that is O2, CO2, nitrogen, they pass very easily. That is, it is very permeable to these all gases. If we study how much is the thickness of this respiratory membrane, then the thickness, it comes around, surprisingly, it comes around 0.2 micron. This is the thickness of respiratory membrane. Now, if we stretch this respiratory membrane and all the respiratory membrane in both the lungs, they are put together and their area is calculated, then this area, it comes around 140 meter square. How much? It is 140 meter square. This 140 meter square is nothing but the area of our tennis court. So such is the vast area available in the lung for the exchange of gases, and this is the area of what? Respiratory membrane. Now we come to the next part of today's topic, that is the how oxygen is taken inside. The atmospheric pressure in the air, it is around 760 millimeter of mercury. In this 760 millimeter of mercury, the oxygen contributes 159 millimeter of mercury. In other words, we can say that partial pressure of oxygen in the atmospheric air is 159 millimeter of mercury. When we inhale the air enters through this tracheobronchial tree and ultimately it reaches the alveolus. And what is seen is that partial pressure of oxygen in the alveolus, it is fallen, and it is fallen to 104 millimeter of mercury. Now the question is, why this fall in the PO2 occur? The reasons are two reasons. Number one, when this air, it moves the tracheobronchial tree, what happens? This air undergoes humidification. That is, water molecules from the mucus, they are added to this inspired air. The partial pressure of water goes on increasing, and it is increased at the cost of what? Partial pressure of oxygen. So thus partial pressure of oxygen and partial pressure of nitrogen. So thus there is fall in the partial pressure of oxygen at alveolar level. Second reason, before we take the fresh air, already the air is present in the conducting zone, that is the dead space, and when we take the fresh air, that air, it mixes with the old air that is already present in this tracheobronchial tree. And that mixing, it causes dilution of the partial pressure of oxygen, and thus it falls to 104 millimeter of mercury. So this is how the partial pressure of O2, it falls from 159 millimeter of mercury in the air to 104 millimeter of mercury in the alveolus. This is from the alveolar side. Now we come to the circulatory side. This is the circulatory side. So what is seen over here? The right ventricle, it gives rise to what is called the pulmonary artery. Right ventricle is pumping the deoxygenated blood in the pulmonary artery. This pulmonary artery enters into the lung, branches, and ultimately it forms the capillary. This is the arterial end of the capillary, and at the arterial end of the capillary, the blood that is present, it is the deoxygenated blood. If we measure how much is the partial pressure of oxygen at the arterial end of the pulmonary capillary, then it is 40 millimeter of mercury, 40 millimeter of mercury. So now it is very clear that across this respiratory membrane, the difference of partial pressure for oxygen is present, and it is 64 millimeter of mercury. That is 104 minus 40 equal to 64 millimeter of mercury. So difference of 64 millimeter of mercury, it leads to simple diffusion of oxygen from the alveolus into the blood. Okay. As the oxygen enters into the blood, some of the oxygen, it is dissolved into the plasma. But majority of the oxygen, it enters into the RBC and combines with the heme portion of hemoglobin, and combines with what is called the heme portion of hemoglobin, forming what is called the oxyhemoglobin. By the time the blood reaches the venous end of pulmonary capillary, the partial pressure of oxygen, it is increased to 104 millimeter of mercury, which is equal to the alveolar pressure. Now blood leaves the lung, enter into the pulmonary vein. Partial pressure of the oxygen in the pulmonary vein is again 104 millimeter of mercury. This pulmonary vein is about to enter into left atrium, but before it enters into the left atrium, one small vein from the lung, it joins this pulmonary vein. Name of this vein is the bronchial vein. This bronchial vein is the part of bronchial circulatory system, and this bronchial vein, it is draining the deoxygenated blood from the parenchyma of the lung. Since it is containing deoxygenated blood, the partial pressure of blood in the bronchial vein is 40 millimeter of mercury. Okay. Now, this small amount of deoxygenated blood from the bronchial vein, it is now mixing with the large amount of well oxygenated blood present in the pulmonary vein. And because of that, there is small fall in the partial pressure of O2, and partial pressure of O2, it falls to 95 millimeter of mercury. Now when blood enters into the left atrium, partial pressure is 95, and that in the left ventricle, it is again 95 millimeter of mercury. This mixing of blood of bronchial vein with the pulmonary vein, it is known as venous admixture of the blood. Now, how much is the partial pressure of O2 in the ventricle from where we are delivering the oxygen to all the tissues of the body? It is 95 millimeter of mercury. From here, blood is ejected into the aorta. It then goes into various arterial systems. So in the arteries, the partial pressure of oxygen, it is always 95 millimeter of mercury. इतना समझ में आया? Now, we are reaching, this blood is reaching what is called the peripheral capillary. This is the arterial end of the peripheral capillary, and this is the venous end. and this contains what is called the RBC, which is saturated with what is called the oxygen, and the loose compound is present, that is known as oxyhemoglobin. Okay, so by now from this discussion it is very clear that how oxygen is transported, in what form the oxygen is transported from lungs to the tissues. It is transported in two forms. Number one, the free form or the dissolved in the plasma form, and the second one, it is bound to hemoglobin, that is in the form of oxyhemoglobin. In the dissolved form, it carries only 3% of oxygen, whereas the oxyhemoglobin it carries 97% of oxygen to the tissues. So this is about the two forms in which oxygen is transported. Now it is the time to deliver the oxygen to the tissues. Outside this capillary, interstitial fluid is present, and just next to the interstitial fluid, the cell is present. Now it is time to deliver the O2 to this cell. Now how it is delivered? The partial pressure of oxygen in the interstitial fluid, it is 40 millimeter of mercury, and partial pressure of oxygen in the cytoplasm of the cell, it is 23 millimeter of mercury. So from this it is very clear that the pressure difference or pressure gradient is present for oxygen across the capillary membrane. 95 minus 40, that is the 55 millimeter of mercury, and across the cell membrane it is 40 minus 23, that is for the 17 millimeter of mercury. Thus oxygen moves from high pressure area to the low pressure and then to the least pressure area present in the cytoplasm. This process doesn't require energy. This is the simple diffusion by which the oxygen is moving from the blood to the cell, where it is utilized by the mitochondria for the for the production of what is called the ATP. इतना समझ में आया? Now अब देखते हैं हम कि how much amount of O2 is delivered to the cell by 100 ml of blood. At the partial pressure of 95, that is we say the oxygenated blood, at 95 millimeter of mercury, 100 ml of blood, it contains, supposing the hemoglobin concentration is 15 gram %, and we know 1 gram of hemoglobin, it carries 1.34 ml of oxygen. Okay, so supposing this individual, his hemoglobin concentration is 15 gram per 100 ml. So this 100 ml of blood will carry how much amount of O2? This is naturally 15 gram into 1.34 ml, and it comes around 19.34 ml, or just roughly say it is 20 ml of blood is present in the at the arterial end of the capillary. Now when this blood it reaches the venous end, partial pressure it falls to 40 millimeter of mercury. Now at this 40 millimeter of mercury, the same 100 ml of blood contains how much O2? It contains around 15 ml of O2. That means 100 ml of O2 has delivered, 100 ml of blood has delivered how much amount of O2 to the tissue? It has delivered 20 minus 15, and that is the 5 ml. That means every time the 100 ml of blood passes through this capillary, how much amount of O2 is being delivered? It is the 5 ml of O2 is being delivered. Now, is it that the complete O2 is delivered, complete O2 from the blood is delivered to the cell? The answer is no. Still at the venous end, the 100 ml of blood is having how much? 15 ml of O2. That means from whatever the availability of the oxygen, how much O2 is delivered? It is from out of 20, only 5 ml is delivered, and this is known as utilization coefficient. So what is utilization coefficient? How much amount of O2 is taken up by the tissue from every 100 ml of the blood, and it is 25% of oxygen that is available in that 100 ml of blood. So this is about how oxygen is delivered. Next thing, initially when oxygen is being delivered, initially oxygen that is present in the free form or the dissolved form, it is then made available to the cell. Once the partial pressure starts dropping down, the O2 that is attached to the hemoglobin, it is released from here and it enters into the plasma, and from there it goes to the interstitial space and ultimately it reaches the cell. So the important thing is that who is made available to the cell first? One which is free. The free oxygen that is present, that is present in the plasma, it first goes to the cell. Once its concentration decreases, then the oxygen from the hemoglobin, it is detached and it is then made available to the cell. This is how the oxygen is then provided. So this is the way oxygen is transported from the lungs all the way up to the cell. Now, how much amount of O2 is transported by the blood? It depends on two factors. First factor is the hemoglobin concentration. We know 1 gram of hemoglobin, it carries 1.34 ml of oxygen. Naturally, more the hemoglobin concentration, more is the carriage of oxygen by the blood. Second factor that determines the amount of transport of O2 is the partial pressure of oxygen. More the partial pressure of oxygen, more is the free oxygen available, more is the oxygen available to bind with the hemoglobin, more is the saturation of hemoglobin, and more is the transport of oxygen to the tissues. This effect of partial pressure of O2 on the transport of O2 is explained by one curve, and name of that curve is oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve, and we discuss that curve in detail in the next topic. So till then, stay tuned. Goodbye and thank you.